wanted to start off with one of your art pieces has a ghost fighting over a hot dog. And while that might seem like a strange place to begin, one of
Yeah,
my favorite movies is Dawn of the Dead. And the concept of, as you probably have seen it, the concept is that people come back to life and they go to a shopping mall because that's the memory that, like, their last, memories that they had is that they go to like the places they used to shop when they're brain dead.
yeah.
And there was something about like craving processed meats from beyond the grave that really kind of got me. Can you talk me through that piece? You know the one I'm talking about, right?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I love Dawn of the Dead too. I love that song they play in the mall.
Oh yeah, well it's all
You know, like
Goblin soundtrack, which is the best
yeah, yeah.
band of all
Well, there's
time.
like a really upbeat like dun 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 dun. I know it's a crazy song. My
Yeah,
sister
yeah.
actually worked at Macy's in Manhattan, and she would play that sometimes. She'd sneak it into the playlist, like in the department
That's
store.
so smart. Dude,
Nobody
I
nobody
still
would
work
figure
at
it out, but
malls all the time, and I've never thought about playing the fucking theme. Like that
yeah,
theme.
bump that thing in there.
Holy
Um,
shit. Do you reckon people would know? Probably not.
Somebody get it. The heads would know. The real
Yeah,
ones would get it, right?
yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't know. I was thinking about that with the ghost fighting over the hot dog, but I mean, I guess a lot of what I draw. I mean, some of it's intentional up front, and a lot of it can be subliminal and interpreted later.
Yeah.
So I imagine like a ghost fighting over a hot dog was maybe an image that I just thought was interesting. But yeah, I can see that tie to trying to hold on to your humanity in whatever way you can, even if it's a hot dog.
Mm, yeah.
But I
I
don't
mean,
know.
I mean, like, I think about it in terms of like when you're approaching a piece, do you have an idea in mind before you go into it, or is it freeform?
It depends. I like to keep it open for surprises.
Hmm.
But a lot of the way I work is I'll take notes. I don't do a lot of sketching. I'll do
Mm.
rough thumbnails, or I'll have just like a sentence that's the idea, and then I'll go just
Yeah,
right into it.
I've noticed that whether or not you dabbled in poetry much, because your captions, and this is something I do in my artworks as well. My captions are so important to the piece, and your captions are very poetic and prose-like, actually. And I've always wondered because I haven't seen much text on your actual pieces. Do you like to keep it separate that way?
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't like to put text in the actual works, but I guess yeah. I mean, a caption on Instagram or something, I would consider that almost like the title, or just trying to cue people into kind of how they should be. I mean, that's not a good way to put it, but like kind of what I want people to think about where I was coming from with the piece, or give them
Yeah.
like a little like what's going on.
I've always kind of seen it as like the midpoint between abstraction and like more figurative stuff, and I try to do a similar thing too. Like exactly what you just said, kind of guide them into the piece, but not necessarily dictate where their eyes go, and what they should think, but just kind of give them a little bit more than just nothing, I think. Depends
Yeah,
what kind of vibe you're going for, but I respect that approach a lot.
yeah. I think just a gentle like kind of push. I
Mm.
also kind of want to be. I don't want to be too misinterpreted, but I don't want to also tell people how to look at something or what to think about it.
For sure. I always remember going to like Las Vegas and doing the guided audio tours and going around to like the Picasso stuff and they're just telling you what to think every single stop of the way. And you're just like, listen, like if I wanted like a history lesson, I probably, I could get that some other way. But right now I need to be present with the piece?
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's hard. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of historical context with something like that. But I mean, yeah, the work I'm putting up is just, it's instant. It's right now. So there is no historical context. So I got to put some other kind of context, but also kind of like keep things a little mysterious and open. So sometimes I'll make a piece even more confusing by what I write, if I feel like it.
Yeah, I'd be so interested to see what a prose book or a book from you would be like because I really think that like even I wrote down a quote. It's funny to say a quote from you when I'm talking about a caption.
Yeah.
But these are the
No, I
times that we live in.
think it's technically a quote.
It is a quote. It's literally a quote. Why
Yeah.
wouldn't it be? Prove that it wasn't a quote. But it says
Yeah.
the road less traveled has eroded into the sea. Which for
Oh,
me
yeah.
is just like an incredible statement. With the piece or with that, I'd love to see a book. When's the book coming
Yeah.
out?
It's funny you should say that because I've been actually reading a lot and starting to write, doing like writing exercises in the morning.
Awesome.
My book, I actually have a bunch of, yeah, my desk is covered with, yeah, I have to write. a long time ago. I took some like county college classes or whatever. But I mean, I have like, I just got this Kurt Vonnegut book on writing.
Love Kurt Vonnegut. He's my favorite
Oh,
author.
Pity the Reader, which is a good name. But now I just read this Master and Margarita.
Oh
It's
yeah,
like a sort of a banned book from Russia, like about 100 years old. I got
yeah. Is that the
Annie.
that's the Heart of the Dog? I think is the other book by the Master and Margarita, right? It's like the dude that
I
gets
don't know.
replaced, or he gets put into a dog. A dog gets put into a human's body. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, that sounds good.
Can I see
Yeah,
the other
this
ones?
one was
What other
really
books you
good.
got?
Oh, I got what else we got? This is one I just picked this one up. It's Yuri Herrera.
True.
I don't know what this one's about yet. I like the
Yeah, I've never heard of
title.
that.
It's Signs Preceding the End of the World. And I got The
Cool.
Stranger by Camus, which I've actually never read. And then I
Classic.
wanted to try some Paul Auster, so I got a Paul
Classic.
Auster.
New York trilogy is incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for, but I found this one instead. So
Yeah, no, I
yeah,
was gonna ask you about the books that you're currently influenced by or have been influenced by, especially because I see a lot of magic realism in your pieces, and one of the big magic realist books is 100 Years of Solitude, which I just finished. Not to brag, but it goes for
yeah,
400 pages, so
great.
you know that I got my
Yeah,
reading done. Have you
yeah.
read that book before?
I haven't read that one.
I'd
I
highly
put it on the
recommend
list
reading
though.
it. There's some books like there's a book I have around here somewhere. It's a Mishima book, and it has a cover that was published when the book was published, and it's very artsy and it looks like what you read inside. You know, the cover actually represents the piece because I think you can judge a book by its cover actually quite easily.
Oh yeah,
Um,
I often do.
Often do. We
Or the
shouldn't do it
title.
with people, but that's why we're talking about books, right? So
Yeah,
keeping it compartmentalized.
yeah.
Um,
That's it's fair with books.
it's fair with books. It's not fair with human beings. I would say that would be my quote if
It's
I was
probably not
making
fair
a
with
pick.
books either, but you can't help it sometimes, especially if you're kind of geared towards the visual. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, and
I
and I
can't
think a lot
separate
of
it.
people are like you're not really just going to look at a book and be like, I know what the essence of this book is, especially if it's a book where the author is still alive or had a say in what he was actually publishing, because that's it's part of the package. Like food is a visual thing too, right? Like you look at it, if it looked like shit, you probably wouldn't enjoy it, even if it tasted amazing. So.
Oh yeah, well that's a whole art unto itself. It's just food plating for
Food
sure.
plating, yeah, it's quite a
Yeah.
depressing art actually, just because of where it goes out, you know? Like when you like I
Yeah.
used to watch Cake Boss as a kid, and it was just depressing that they would put all this effort into these cakes and then people would just shit them out, you know? Pardon my French, but
Yeah.
just the idea that it just goes
Yeah.
into a toilet.
Yeah,
Dude,
I don't know. It's kind of like I cook a lot too, and I cook for my partner and I. So like I always try to make her bowl look nicer than mine, and like I'll spend a little
mm,
more time like putting placing things and try to make it look
but does
presentable.
your food taste nicer than hers?
Oh, I do a lot of cooking. I'm
Okay,
the cook.
I understand. I can
I'm the
read into
cook.
that
Oh,
to
you mean
some
like the food? Oh,
sexuality.
my bowl of food? No, it just looks different.
No, I feel that. But what I was
Yeah,
saying in regards to that specific book is that it's obviously a classic book. You know, it's been around for a while, and the author's not around anymore, which is pretty clear because the cover that they have now, at least in the bookshops in Australia, has a Netflix logo that looks like a
oh
sticker,
God, yeah.
but it's embedded into the cover. So, and I'm looking at it like, why would you do that? You know what I mean? Like, I own this piece of medium, and I want to have it on my shelf, and now it's an advertisement. You know, for something I'm not even gonna fucking want to watch.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's just a product of capitalism. It's plain and simple. I mean, they're trying to get the book, they're trying to get the numbers up, they're trying to get their sales up. But it is
Yeah,
a funny thing to just be like, oh, this book is of more value because it was made into a movie, right? Or a show or whatever.
it has less value.
Yeah.
You know, like my favorite book, one of my favorite books of all time, I finished last year was Blood Meridian by
Oh
Cormac
yeah,
McCarthy,
Cormac.
and
Yeah.
that book has it's quoted as being unfilmable, and I agree. Like it can't really be translated into movies. I mean, we don't have the budget or the time span to make that movie. You know, it would go for like 20 hours basically, and it would all be carnage, and it would not be able to be screened. And I don't even think we have the technology for it. We have the animation probably to make an animated version of it, but it
Yeah.
can't be translated. And that's the beauty, right, of that book is that it is a book. It's its own thing. It can't be moved. You know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. It's tough. It's a lot. I have a lot to say about that, I think. But
No, hit me with it.
But I don't know. Also, it's like there's a lot. I mean, you're gonna get different things out of a book you can't get out of a movie. I mean, if you're reading a book and you find a passage you really like, you could sit there and you could read the same passage over 3 or 4 times. You're like, wow, this is a really nice set of lines. You could
Yeah.
just go into it. You don't typically stop a movie and like rewatch a part of a scene
That's a really good
over
fucking
again.
point, actually. Yeah.
But also, there's a depth to the character. I mean, you're learning things that you have inside the character. I mean, obviously, you can have a voiceover in a movie or something like that, but it's a little forced. You know, I mean, a book is introspective in ways that a film can't be.
Yeah. I've been thinking about that a lot, especially just like, I mean, I finally got around to reading Catcher in the Rye, and I have a theory that no one's ever read that book before, but everyone says they've read it.
I've read it.
Because whenever I've heard people talk about that
I
book,
even know what the main. I even know what the name. They say the name of the book in the book, and I
they say
remember what
it.
the scene is. Yeah,
Really, I don't
is
think
that
I've
she has
gotten
like
up
a
to that.
fantasy where he's like catching children falling off a field in like a catcher's mitt or something,
Oh,
like
yeah,
in a rye
true.
field. Yeah,
True.
it's
Yeah.
one of those books where they say the name of the book in the book.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever met anyone who's read it. I just borrowed it from a friend that I don't think he even read it either. Like the version I borrowed was from a library. Like he stole it. Well, I shouldn't say
Yeah,
that, but you know, who the
you
fuck
can.
cares? It's been ages, so it's fine.
Um, yeah, I don't. Well, in America, like in my high school, we had to read it. I don't remember what grade, but somewhere in high school we had to read it.
There's a lot of, I think, good books that, for me personally, were ruined by having to read them. You know,
Right.
like you should
Yeah.
discover the book. Like you actually can't really recommend a book to anyone. Not really. You can make them read it, you know, but you like maybe at gunpoint you could force somebody to read prose, but you
Oh
can't
yeah,
like, yeah.
I force books on people at my house,
Does it work?
but yeah. Well, I mean, it's if they talk about books, like if they see my books and we're talking about books, and I just read something and they seem interested in it, I'll be like, hey, take it if you want. But I'm not
Mhm.
like too like, yeah, I'm like if you want.
Yeah, like still being a good person while you know
Yeah, I don't.
sharing your knowledge of reading
I
with
don't
other people.
strong arm them. Yeah, but yeah, sometimes they read them and we talk about them. I mean, it's nice because next time you see them, you can talk about it.
Yeah, I generally find for me, maybe my memory is like starting to recede, you know, at the ripe old age of 30. But I find that I read this massive book and then I only had 3 or 4 points to discuss about them. And they're really good points, but I just don't, I can't retain anything else. And I'm like, shouldn't I have like 300 points, you know, or at least a point per page? But I fixate on certain sections of a book and I kind of call it a day.
Yeah, I started keeping a book. Well, I've been reading more recently, so I started keeping a book next to me, a notebook, and I'll just
Mm.
jot down things that stick out to me. I'll write down a line that I liked or a phrase, or just kind of
Oh,
loosely what's
wow.
happening in
Yeah.
the book.
A book about the book.
Yeah, it's I guess that's what you call like cliff notes, like those little yellow books that summarize the book for you. It's
Yeah,
like my own
you can sell them
cliff
to
notes.
high schoolers down
Yeah,
by the train station, make a mean
yeah,
profit.
yeah. Good luck reading my handwriting though.
Well, that's no, my handwriting's fucking terrible, which is maybe
Yeah,
why we've both done art, you know, as the primary thing as well.
yeah.
Going back to that, but also like I appreciate that you have a book for it and not the actual book because there's something that I find, especially reading this Catcher in the Rye book, someone's highlighted shit, we're giving it such a grandiose kind of vibe, like this is the statement that I should care about now, and they're all the most basic parts of the book, and I'm like, this guy was like enlightened by just the most mundane aspects of it, and it's changed the way that I, you know, interpret this book. So it's kind
Yeah.
of ruined for me when people draw on the book and shit like that, you know, or highlighters and shit. Like, who has a highlighter these days? Who's actually going out and buying that shit? That's an outdated fucking, you know, piece of medium.
Yeah, I buy a lot of used books, so I'll encounter that a lot. But I'll encounter like they underlined a bunch of things, random stuff in like the first chapter, and then they
Mm.
give up. But it is distracting. But also, I've never found something underlined that I was like, oh yeah, that's what I would have underlined. It's always something that I'm like, why did you find meaning in
Why?
this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How? And then you start thinking about that and you're out of the book.
But yeah, sometimes I think about taking like notes in the margins and stuff like that. But I feel like if I went back to read it, I'd be too distracted by
Yeah.
what I had done.
Also, like another thing while we're on the subject of books, like the blurb is so dangerous, and the introduction, or like the foreword, is the worst thing to ever happen in books. Like you read that
Oh, you don't
shit.
like forwards?
Well, it's written by another author usually, or like you know, like a blurb or whatever, and it could be written by the same author, but it's telling you everything that fucking happens in a really condensed way. And you're like, why is this the forward? This should be the concluder. This should be the
Yeah.
end thing. Like, it's spoilers galore. The whole thing's spoilers.
I don't know. I feel like I read them, but I guess I don't know. I don't recall spoilers. It's just depends on the book.
Maybe you've been very lucky. I think that's what
Yeah,
it is.
I feel lucky.
Moving away from books because I feel like I know your entire,
Yeah, I
even
could
what
keep going.
library you go
You got to
to
stop me.
at this point. Yeah. I see a lot of angels and kind of holy stuff happening in your work. I also see a lot of like the occult and dark magic or black magic and stuff like that. I guess it's relative to what exactly it is. But are you someone who's spiritual?
I wouldn't. No, I was raised Catholic, so I
Okay.
like had to go to church when I was a kid, but I didn't like it. Um, so I think, yeah, I was younger. I didn't like going to church. I was forced to. Uh, I think I kind of found like punk music or metal music when I was young, and I was like, oh, these people hate religion too. I was like, these are my people or whatever. So I think I've always gravitated toward sort of like, I guess in the beginning, in my earlier work, I probably was like just trying to, you know, um, tear down religion or just, uh, put it in a negative light. But I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily shit on people who are looking for spirituality as long as they're doing it in like a pure sense
Mm.
and not using it to try to, manipulate people or, which often happens. But
Yeah.
I mean, I put a lot of religious imagery in my work and like spiritual things happening. I'm kind of like making scenes of, I guess they're kind of like gods in a way. A lot of
Mm.
my figures, they're like a mix
Yeah.
between gods and mascots.
Yeah, God can be a mascot sometimes.
Yeah,
Or you can see God in a mascot. Rather.
yeah.
But then, because I'm someone who's never, for some reason, I'm really into more contemporary art. Not super duper contemporary, but the 70s and the 80s is kind of my shit. Same with a lot of music, a lot of punk, and I guess the dawn of that stuff is more pure to me than what's currently kind of going down. But I've never really been into like Renaissance paintings and stuff like that. They feature a lot of that kind of imagery in a different light. Are you somebody who's interested in revisiting those times, or does it bore you? If you go to a museum, do you skip that section?
No, I don't skip that section. I don't reference that stuff, but I do kind of think of that like that kind of like epic like multi-figural like event
Absolutely.
happening, right? Because they're highlighting an important, a significant event. So I'm
Yeah.
interested in that. And also like anytime I go to those like those paintings, those really detailed paintings, when they have if they have babies in them, the
Mm.
babies always look like hideous, and they have like little man faces, and like they couldn't paint babies for some reason. It's like a thing. I don't know why, but
Yeah, and you would think that they would have babies to reference too. Like there would have been babies back then, right?
I
Or
don't know.
maybe
Maybe they
babies
move
weren't
too much.
invented yet.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know.
You
I
know,
don't know, but
the
they have.
you think about the ultimate baby, right? Which is the Cupid doll. I don't know if you guys have the Cupid doll or
Oh yeah, I probably
Melville.
got one of those around here
Maybe
somewhere.
that's like a modern invention. No one really knows where that baby came from.
Oh, he's
Like,
a mystery baby.
hey,
He's a mystery baby. The QP.
maybe he's a mystery baby.
He's on
Uh,
Japanese mayonnaise.
oh, no shit. That's where it's from, right?
Oh, maybe I don't know.
I don't know. It
I'm
kind of
not
looks like
sure. I have
mayonnaise
a.
to me,
I,
but
oh yeah, I have a little wooden one somewhere.
yeah, I've got
Um,
a few that I got from the mountain. These like little Kewpie dolls and shit like that. There's even a bar that used to have a giant Kewpie baby like out the front of it here, around the corner, just like out the front. He used to dangle over the street. I don't know if that baby's still there. I think someone took him, to be honest.
he grew up.
Yeah, what one thing you actually probably would enjoy, given all those sculptures that you were showing me at the beginning, is that on a street here in Fitzroy, which is I don't know what to compare it to over there, but there's a lot of and nobody fucking talks about this, so this might be a premiere in a way.
Oh,
There's these sculptures that hang across the top of most of the bars, and they're all obscure and you can't really see them because of all the different facades and stuff like that, because the facades block the view of these mixed media kind of things. But we have heaps of those here, and the QP one was definitely part of that too. So
interesting.
yeah, I'm not sure what the history is of that stuff. And in a place called St
Yeah.
Kilda, we have that
And they've
too.
been around for a while.
They've been around for yonks. They might have even been around since the 90s or early 2000s. A lot of them are pretty rusted. Nobody really addresses them unless you're out on a night out and you're drunk, and then you kind of just look up from like the pizza shop and you're like, why is that there? Who designed that? These like public sculptures, and they'll never get taken down because they're not on the street. They're
Yeah,
just safe. And they're as safe as the building is safe before the owners demolish it and gentrify it. So
right. You got a lot of that over there too.
Yeah, we got a lot of that over there. We're losing a lot. We've lost a lot of culture and places to play music, and punk venues are a lot more selective now. You know, even just the people who are like taste making are a lot more selective, and so the culture here is getting kind of eaten from within. And when I talk to people from like America or like the US, which I generally tend to do, like I had Frankie and the Witch Fingers on last week.
Oh yeah, my
Um,
pals.
yeah, yeah, and I wanted to ask you about them as well. But yeah, it seems like a lot of people when they say they like Australian music, a lot of people refer to a particular period of time, you know, whether it's going back to the 90s or early 2000s or In Excess or Midnight Oil or even now it's like Amel and the Sniffers and Tame Impala and there's a psych rock boom of like Pond and all that. But people are forgetting that like that was 2015. These are all pre-COVID bands. So a lot of people
Yeah,
can't actually name post-COVID bands that have popped off because the system here has changed, you know? So it's not just the
yeah,
buildings, it's the actual infrastructure of how to make it in this industry now. But I digress. We're not here to talk about that shit. If people want to listen to that shit, they can listen to
yeah.
any other fucking episode, you know, with any
That's
musician
true.
that I've
Everybody
ever had
does
on.
know about that, that situation and how
The
terrible it
listeners
is
know
for
about that. You
everybody.
know, listeners are
Yeah.
living through that. But I want to go more into the art for a sec. You have a picture. Well, you have many pictures of monkeys, I assume, from memory.
Oh
From
yeah.
you have one where civilization is burning, and the caption is maybe they'll get it right next time. So I want to know, in your own words, where did we go wrong?
Oh Jesus. Also, if I did say we went wrong, it'd just be a matter of opinion, you know. So,
But it's
yeah,
too late now.
also, I don't, I wouldn't say we've gone wrong. I'd say we're still going. We could go wrong. I don't think it's unsalvageable, but I think there's a lot of questionable behavior
Hmm.
um, that puts us in the wrong direction. But I think of that image. Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's about evolution. And it's like, oh, the next, when chimps start evolving again, like they're gonna pick up a stick and scroll on the cave wall, and then where are they gonna take it? It's more, it's kind of dark and it is critical, but at the same time, it's also like,
It's
okay, well,
hopeful.
where does it's about the evolution of art, not only on this planet, but
Yeah,
in the
because you're right. If chimpanzees, and forgive me if I'm butchering, you know, the different species, I know some things
yeah,
are more like humans than others. I don't really know my zoology. But if chimpanzees and monkeys had picked up, I mean, maybe they have. I don't know. I need to watch more David Attenborough or whatever the fuck. Is it Richard or David? It's David. It's David
yeah,
Attenborough. Um, if they had picked up like, you know, drawing utensils and they'd really gotten into their acrylic, you know, and you know, and all that stuff from an earlier kind of age in history, maybe we would have more arts funding, you know, because art would be tied, you know, you wouldn't be able to debate the importance of art from a cultural and evolutionary standpoint.
right. Plus, you can't say no to when a cute little face asks for funding,
Yeah, so
right?
maybe
Like,
people who are listening should just take note that if you get like a baby or something cute, you know, like a monkey in your application and say, "Listen, I need to like, you know, support this monkey. I live with it." You might actually get the grant because how can
yeah,
you say no?
yeah, I have an artist friend named Dan Newman, and he does a lot of different drawing experiments. We did like some collaborative drawing projects and things like that. But he did a collaboration series where he did with animals, like animals who paint.
He drew and painted with animals.
Yeah, he would do like his animal would paint on a piece of paper or a canvas or something, and then he would add to it, and they would do like a sort of a
So
collaborative
he was
drawing with them.
playing like a game of exquisite corpse with an animal, with with
Yeah.
like a monkey.
Well, sort of, yeah. It was just kind of add to the, make some marks. The animal makes some marks. He makes some marks. So yeah, he did
How? No, we
experiment
have
with
we
that.
have to discuss this. We can't gloss over what you just said.
Yeah,
Like
I can send you his work. I'll send it
which
later.
like do you know any of the animals specifically that were
Oh, I
chosen?
feel like one of them might have been a monkey, but maybe there was a dog. I don't know. I know there's like an elephant that paints. I don't think he worked with an elephant, but I can't remember what the animals were exactly. But
So these animals, imagine if like the animals had more followers than he does. You know what I mean? And they're all like picky as to what their mediums are and stuff like that. And like
oh,
because
they
they
might. I
was
mean,
the elephant painting before he met the elephant?
oh, I don't know. I don't think he painted with the elephant, but I've seen a painting elephant before.
Interesting. I've never heard of anyone do that before. That is insane. That is incredible. Yeah, definitely send through his stuff later. Really really cool. But so going back to the monkey and civilization aflame, I kind of went through all of the works today, and there's one where I think it's "Welcome to the Future" in one of the captions, and so now I'm wondering, do these take place in our timeline? These
Well, I
pieces?
mean, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that my work takes place here.
Yeah,
Definitely reflective. I mean, I'm definitely making comments on our modern culture,
yeah.
but I mean, I picture this stuff as like it's a different universe. It's like a whole different thing.
A multiverse, string theory kind of
Yeah,
situation
yeah,
versus a Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, or whatever the one is where he realizes that he's actually, in the future, and not on a
yeah,
different planet.
yeah. I mean, I like there's parallels, but I wouldn't say it's just not like based in reality. I mean, I don't try to obviously don't try for like a realistic style,
Mm.
and then I exaggerate things obviously, and yeah, I like to get a little nuts. Um,
Yeah, no, for
but
sure. Where,
but yeah, I
what?
don't.
Sorry, you go.
Oh, go ahead.
Where does your style come from? How did it emerge?
I don't know. I usually will kind of change my style pretty frequently, but I've kind of been doing work with the same look for probably about 4 or 5, probably since post-pandemic, I think. I
Mm.
kind of snapped into the more cartoonish with like a heavy black, like big shadows and everything like that. But yeah, I can't say where it came from. I don't know it's like a style I've kind of toyed around with previously, and then I just kind of came back to it, and it kind of worked.
Yeah,
But I
what?
mentioned earlier like mascots and sort of like I wouldn't consider it, I guess a lot of people think it looks like animation, but I kind of base it off of like yeah, I guess sort of like Betty Boop-ish animation. I'm
True.
thinking more like I don't know, like Ready Kilowatt. Do you know who that is? He's like
Uh,
a man made out of lightning bolts.
True.
He's
No,
like
I
an
haven't actually seen that
electricity.
before.
He's an electricity mascot.
Oh, no
But
shit.
him or like the Michelin Man or
I was
something
gonna
like
say,
Michelin Man's made out of tires.
Michelin
But I
Man
like that
is is the goat. Michelin Man is the unsung hero of
kind of.
2026.
Yeah. He definitely is a goat.
I fucking
Um,
love it. I get such a kick out of seeing Michelin like 3D or 4D rather, like actual sculptures of the Michelin Man outside of those tire places. And I always get
yeah.
him confused with Stay Puffed. Does that happen to you?
Oh
You get
yeah.
him
Stay
confused because
Puft.
they're the
Yeah.
same fucking thing?
He's got a similar thing going on, I'd say. Yeah.
It's
But
like
I
the
like Stay
same thing.
Puft.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Stay Puft is amazing as well. Rest in peace to one of the giants.
R.I.P. Yeah. He got they crossed the streams.
R.I.P.
Um,
Puffed. Um, but yeah, because your style, and I'm somebody who's very like obviously everyone has their own style, but I'm very in tune to people who just have a style that's just so. I mean, for lack of a better word, unique, and that's what really drew me to your pieces is that I haven't seen anything that looks like that. It seems so inherent, to you at this particular time, and I'm wondering like what were you doing before that, before you were on that style pre-COVID?
I would say with my evolution of drawing, I used to do more like fine point things. So I'd say more like cross hatching, like kind of R-Crumb looking. So still sort of animated looking or like that style. But yeah, like heavily crosshatched, like a little grittier. But I guess like just the grit kept coming off, and I used less and less detail. I don't know if my fingers got tired or what,
Yeah,
or I just wanted things to look a little smoother and less like kind of gross. I mean, things are a little gross still, but I don't know. I keep coming back to the mascot thing, but I like that like clean look of a mascot, like the "he can trust me" kind
yeah,
of thing, and having it like having a clean figure represent something. And but instead of like yes, trying to sell tires, it stands for like a personality type
yeah.
or just yeah, it's a physical embodiment of something awful we're doing, or maybe something good we're doing.
Yeah, there's a really great book that you may have read called Understanding Comics by Scott McCloud. If you've ever seen
Oh
that
yeah,
series of books around, it's basically a metaphysical book. Like, it's like the metaphysics of making comic books and what they mean for culture. And he says that like when you put too many, if you're cross hatching or whatever and you're putting too much detail, it's more of a singular point of view. It's a specific face. But if the more you simplify it and bring it down to like Mickey Mouse, Bart Simpson, the cleaner it is, the more that the majority of people can actually feel that that's them, you know? And that's like the beauty of mascots is like that cleanliness, that simplicity is like, yeah, we don't look like Stay Puffed or what I shouldn't say Stay Puffed because he's not being used, you know, for that purpose. He's a plot
Yeah,
device, I guess.
yeah,
But the Michelin Man and other stuff is like you can kind of see some sort of humanity, even if they're trying to sell you tires or they're trying to sell you Disney shit or whatever. Like there's still something that's real there with those two eyes, you know. And then I think in the book it talks about like how many lines it takes to just draw a face, like a universal face. And I think they did it in two. I don't know exactly, but yeah, it was kind of along those lines.
yeah. Also, like leaving yourself open to, yeah, a mascot or like an animated look, you open yourself up to like really exaggerated expressions. So
Mm.
you can make it look like really terrified or really psychotically happy, or you can
Yeah.
exaggerate those emotions to the whatever extent you want.
And it goes back to what we were saying before about like just the medium being unique to itself. The comic book medium is also unique to itself, you know, beyond just like books and all that. And there's things that you can do in terms of I mean, sure, they've been able to replicate some of it in like The Mask, you know, like the movie with Jim Carrey or maybe
Oh
Who
yeah.
Framed Roger Rabbit or some of that shit. But for the most part, there's stuff that you can do in that because it's a combination of all of those different forms. And even just the imagery itself, the certain types of distortions that you can do that you could never get away with in any other medium. You wouldn't even really be able to describe them properly. And that's the beauty of that kind of art form. Simplicity, like it always comes up on the podcast, pretty much every episode now. I think I'm cursed with this
Yeah.
motif or this topic that continually arises. But the idea that like, you know, having less actually makes more. And I don't mean that in terms of because your works are very detailed and they have a lot going on, but in terms of the actual designs and in terms of you know just the magic of it all is like when you have less lines but you still can't understand how it was made. There's a certain kind of mysticism and magic in that, and I think that's always appealed to me with my drawings as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. But sticking with cartoons, another quote that I have from you from somewhere in the in the abyss is modern tunes for modern times. I read that somewhere. So I'm curious what tunes were you raised on?
Oh, which cartoon? So I was a kid in like the 80s. So I guess earlier stuff like He-Man or I think Ninja Turtles was
Mm.
like a huge, like a pretty big one when I was a kid. Um, I really liked the mutant aspect of it. I mean, that was definitely very formative seeing like mutant turtles and they would fight other mutant animals. Um, but just I loved the monsters. I loved like the design of the characters and I would draw them and like that was kind of the first thing that inspired me to start putting the pencil down to paper was like these freaks and these cartoon shows. So I guess I owe a lot to those mutants.
Do you find that modern cartoons, if you're privy to any of them, I know maybe like Bluey is an example of like a
He's
modern
a dog, right?
yeah fucking dog or some bullshit.
Yeah,
Do
I
you
know what he
find that
looks like.
do you find that modern cartoons maybe reflect a certain doom and gloom that people are going through now, you know? Like,
I don't know. I mean, I can't say I've sat down and watched modern cartoons, even like the adult ones. I haven't like watched too much of. I'm for some reason like even though my work looks very animated, I watched very little animation. But I'm not really like motive inspired by animation. But I don't know. I mean, children's animation is probably definitely not as grotesque. I mean, also like Ren and Stimpy was something I
yeah.
liked, and that was like very grotesque and like gross and toilet humor. So I mean, that
Yeah, yeah.
shaped my
Early
sense of humor.
early SpongeBob as well, you know.
Yeah.
A lot Rocco's Modern World and like all those the Nickelodeon like
Oh yeah, I
shows
like that one.
around like maybe like 90s and like early 2000s they definitely got away with a lot. Like a lot.
Yeah.
And I think it definitely had an impact on culture for sure and what like a certain kind of generation can tolerate because that was
Yeah.
just what we were used to, which I think is a good thing, to be honest. But I don't know. Like I always remember playing like in terms of video games, playing the equivalent of that, which was Conker's Bad Fur Day. I don't know if you ever played
Oh
that
yeah.
game.
Yeah, I know that.
That game is so fucked up. And like so I the day I played that game is like the day I lost my innocence, basically. I remember where I was and I remember what that game did to me and it felt like I shouldn't have been there, you know?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, it opened something inside of you, right? At least you've opened your mind to something.
Open my mind to the real world, you know.
Yeah,
There's a lot
that's
of
good.
like
But
poo in that game, and there's a lot of poo in the real world. So thank you,
yeah,
conquers
get
bad
you. It got
first.
you. Yeah, you were ready when the poo started falling.
Yeah. I also forgot to ask you before, when you were saying that like people in the past couldn't draw babies. Is there anything that you can't draw?
um, I don't know. I'm not like a naturally skilled I mean, I can draw realistic things if I sit down and take my time. I could draw like a person's face accurately, but
Yeah.
I don't do it. It's not. I wouldn't say it's painful, but it's also not the look I'm going for. But it would
Mm.
take me a very long time.
Yeah.
But absolutely can't draw. I mean, I could figure it out if I need to. If I really need something in the drawing, I'll go figure out how to make it look good. Sometimes simplifying certain things is a lot more difficult than you think it would be.
Yeah.
Um, but kind of enjoy that part of the process, like dumbing something down or distorting it in an interesting way. It's
Yeah,
a lot of fun to me.
with your work, it's not just the like we've talked a lot about the imagery and all that, but one thing we haven't touched upon is like the feng shui, of where everything sits on the canvas, and that's also like a huge skill. And it's definitely like an underrated skill because people will always talk about what do these things mean and what does, why is this thing a devil and this thing a flying baby? But the actual positioning of that is something that's so intuitive, right? To yourself. And that's like a real underrated skill, I think, that people sleep on. Just where everything's placed and why it's placed, and
Yeah,
making it
balancing
work.
out an image. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it's just I try to. I mean, there are like I know and understand the rules of composition, but I often try to break them as well,
Mm.
as far as focal points and like balance and things like that. But I am aware that I need to put like enough black into a drawing or enough of a certain color into a drawing to make it look as like correct, for lack of a better word. Because I
Yeah.
can't. Also, I need like the drawing's kind of crazy on its own, and nothing's an actual representation of what it really is. Everything's distorted. So like I kind of have to rely on a decent composition um, to have it be readable. But at the same time, I need like a lot of movement too. So I need a lot of things are going in different directions and flying around and coming back around.
So interesting that you were saying like that there has to be a certain amount of black. And like it's like in my head hearing that, and I dropped out of fine art school after 2 years because I failed
Yeah, me too.
oh really? Did you also fail an
Yeah.
abstraction assignment?
No, I took photography classes. I never
uh,
actually took like,
Well, I guess that would really help actually with framing. But even having those like rules there, the idea that there's a certain amount of black and all that just boggles my mind. It makes me wonder like what dark arts have you studied? How do you even know that? You know what I mean? Because for me, composition has always been so intuitive. The idea of studying it's just never crossed my mind, and I'm not as proficient as putting so much, on a canvas, and making it work and fit, just right, which is what you're incredible at. For me, with my stuff, it's more so less imagery on a white canvas and making sure that if I draw a face, that it's just the right face for that space, and just the right amount of movement. But to really fill the whole thing out and still have it come out that cohesive is definitely like I would like to think, it's like never meet your idols or whatever. I would like to think that it's like a skill that goes beyond something that you're just, technical about. I think there's definitely
yeah.
something there,
Yeah, well, I mean, I do everything in stages. So I mean, I'll do like a rough sketch, and then I do just the outline, and then it comes the part where I figure the black out. So I mean, I think like just the black of a drawing probably takes about 5 or 6 hours probably to get the drawing down.
And what are you using in terms of a brush or a pen?
I just use pens. I just use like felt pens
Mm, yeah.
mainly. Yeah,
I only
can you
use
use a
a
brush?
I use a pen brush from the one with like the Faber-Castell pen brush. That's
Oh
like
yeah, those are
it's been
decent.
my go-to, but it's also not big enough for big things, you know what I mean? So that's where
Yeah,
Adobe comes into play. But is your stuff mixed media in the sense that you're coloring it digitally or is it colored like in real life?
I color it digitally. I feel like
Yeah.
if I had time to, to color everything in, I would. I mean,
Yeah.
if I'm like if I get asked to do like an art show or something, obviously I'll use brushes and I'll brush the outlines and everything. I'll have a different approach.
Yeah.
Um, but think of like illustrations. I feel like the digital coloring works well for me, and it gives me a lot of room to play around with the color palette too. I could try things that are a little weird without any risk, which is always nice.
For sure. And there is like in terms of color palette, there is a lot of nature in your work, you know, a lot of vibrancy there. I am this is probably a stupid question, but you know, given that you engage in all these kind of like lush landscapes and stuff like that, what does your actual garden look like? Do you have a
Oh Jesus, you want to see my yard?
if the extension cord goes that far,
Oh yeah, I think so. Also, if I'll come back in if we cut out.
the
Well,
power of
I'm in the Santa Cruz Mountains.
oh wow.
So I'm in the redwood forest.
Thank you
So
for
my
painting such an eloquent
this
picture.
is
I think the Wi-Fi of the place is dying as you're trying to show me it.
yeah,
How
you can
ironic.
see. It's like a dense. It just rained today too. My landscape.
True. Yeah. Oh, so you live in the woods.
Like yeah,
For the entire time that you were showing me all this beautiful stuff, the computer basically just like froze and
was
it
that?
showed me five amazing slides. It showed me the
I
ground,
thought that might happen.
a tree, and the sky, which is great for preserving your location, you know, and your anonymity. And I wonder if
Yeah,
your internet connection is working to your favor in that regard. So you are safe in the
yeah,
allegedly Santa Cruz Mountains or whatever that is.
yeah. I didn't know if that would work or not, but we gave it a shot.
We gave it a shot.
But yeah,
I
I'm in
definitely can
redwoods.
see where you're coming from now. So thank you.
We're back inside where it's safe.
Yes. Before we finish up, and thank you for chatting to me for the past
Of course.
40 minutes. Um, is there anything that you would like to share with the future generation of artists? Is there any words of advice that you can give us?
That's a good question. I feel like young people don't want to hear what old people have to say.
Some of them do. We're realizing now more than ever that, you know, age is irrelevant and actually age is wisdom in many ways and we need it. So please,
Yeah.
please help
No,
us.
I say that jokingly. I do a lot of I make zines and art books and things, and I do a lot of fairs. So I talk to a good amount of younger people. I'm not that I'm that old. I'm like 40, but yeah, I don't feel. It's also funny when they say like, oh, this younger generation is so different because I when I talk to people, I'm like, these people don't seem younger people
Yeah.
don't seem that much to myself. They're dealing with the same bullshit. But I don't know. I guess some advice. I think the greatest piece of advice you can get is just like don't take if you post your work on social media, don't take the reactions too seriously. Don't
Mm.
take that feedback to heart, and really just follow what you want to do, and don't be discouraged by online criticism. Um, you know, don't let that stand in the way of your dreams. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. And as I always say is the types of comments that you get. I mean, even if you get to that stage, right, where you get negative comments, but even before that stage when you don't get many at all, you know, and it seems like you're just pitching your works to a void or the wall. I think it's just important to know that like, yeah, like your audience will come, you know? You just have to be persistent and yeah.
Yeah, and then if you do start changing your work to like if people start criticizing what you do, and you kind of start doing more what you think they want to see, and then say you're successful at that, then you got to do that the rest of your life, and you hate it. You're doing something you don't want to do. So you should always stick to your guns, and your people will find you. When
That's unless you live in the Santa Cruz Mountains.
yeah, then they won't know.
Then they
They
won't
can't
know.
find me. Yeah,
Awesome. Well, yeah. Thank you, Matt, for a really lovely hour, and I hope you enjoy
of
the rest of
course.
your day.
Yeah, enjoy this chat. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Catch you around.